There is one universal and undenying fact, boys, and that is that teachers are retards. I know because I was a teacher. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can use magic tricks to cheat on tests. Because of my unfortunate past, I know how teachers think. I know what goes through their feeble little egotistical heads. This isn't a case of too much logic affecting the individual. This is a case of too little logic being thought of more logic than it actually is. Because of this simple fact, you are going to be uncatchable when it comes to your cheating, especially using magic tricks as a base. The tail end of the tail fell off. So in this video, I'm going to show you several techniques that have been available to lonely magic virgins for centuries and how you could apply them to cheating. Now, I understand right now we're living in a Zoom classroom. However, this video is reserved for the traditional style of teaching in a face-to-face fashion. The first technique we're going to cover here is the use of the cheat sheet and the magician's palm. Now, when you first hear that, you might conjure up images of a disgusting cesspool of germs, sperm, and other bacteria. But that's not what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the technique known as the classic palm, where you're going to take an object and hide it in your hand. Now, obviously, this infers the use of a cheat sheet, which is any sort of object that you're going to be hiding in your hand that's going to contain information that's going to help you in your test. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to a cheat sheet, you want to make sure that you're using a card that is no larger than that of a playing card. Maybe if you want, you could go smaller if you have shrimpy, feeble hands. But to a man like me, I could hide a full-size poker card in my hand and not even be detected. So the technique is very simple. I don't want to see Captain Hooks when it comes to palming. I don't want to see this technique because it's obvious and you look like you have carpal tunnel. The only pressure you're going to need to put is with the base of the pinky and the crotch area of the thumb. And stop fucking laughing. The base of the thumb and the pinky are the ones putting all of the pressure. So the rest of the fingers are free to do whatever it is that you want. This is known as the magician's palm, and they use it all the time to lie to you and fool you into thinking that maybe a card appears in their pocket. Or, oh look, hey, look, there's a card or coin behind your ear. Really, it's inside of their gross, disgusting, bacteria-infested palms. Now, if you think that you can just palm a card and that's enough, that's all it's going to take to cheat, well, you're just as thick and stupid as your teacher. So what you need to do is grab an object. Look at this. I'm holding onto this pen. So right now, ostensibly, my hand is empty, but really, I'm palming a card. There's something in my hand right now. So nobody's the wiser because I'm holding a pen. If you're familiar with magicians holding magic wands, well, that's how they make their palms appear to be empty while holding something secretly. You're going to do the same thing with something that makes sense. In this case, a pen or an eraser or a ruler. Or if you're a Brit making fun of Americans, an AR-15. Look at this beautiful technique right here. I could be pretending to write. I could be actually writing. I could be writing anything that I want. But really, when I look at my palm, there are the answers, baby. Now, let's say you don't want to palm the card with your right hand, the same hand that you're writing with. Well, here's another technique known as the thumb hook. Right now, if you notice, I'm looking at the cheat sheet, baby. But right now, my hand is dangling off the table naturally, just seeming like it's resting there with my thumb just casually hanging off the edge of the table. But really, I have the card in palm and I'm reading the cheat sheet as I'm writing down the actual information on whatever stupid sheet of paper the teacher decided to hand you. Now, here's a little bit of a tidbit. When it comes to using a cheat sheet and actually looking at the information on the card, you have to treat it like a woman, of which subsequently you have to treat it like looking at the sun. You can't look at it for too long without getting burned. So take glances, take casual peeks. You don't want to stare. The moment you stare, that's when you get caught. I know, I've been there many times. Unfortunately, my technique of opening the door and checking them out as they pass by is not as infallible as I thought. But this technique is infallible if you decide to use the sun method and only take quick, casual glances and not stare like it's some sort of 9.5 walking through the door of a Starbucks. This next technique is one of the most powerful ones, so please do not overuse this. Do not use this and show this to impress your friends. Keep this to yourself. Right now, I'm going to pretend like my eyes are closed. I'm gonna pretend like right now I'm in deep concentration. As you can see, both my eyes are closed. I'm rubbing my head. I'm trying to think as to what the answer could potentially be. However, what you don't know is that my eye is actually open and I'm looking at the cheat sheet that's in my lap. How? Well, with the Gypsy Peek. This is a simple technique that has been known to charlatans for centuries. And for the first time, a magician is sharing it with you, the boys. It's a wonderful technique and it's very simple. All you're gonna do is you're gonna close both your eyes. You're then gonna bring your right hand over your right eye and you're just simply gonna open your right eye. Right now, my right eye is actually open underneath my hand. I look like I'm in deep concentration, but I have a sight of absolutely the entirety of the table. So let's combine techniques here. Let's say I'm palming something with my left hand and I have it hooked on the edge of the table. I look like I'm in deep concentration. Right now, my right eye is open. I'm staring at that bad boy like it's a 9.5 walking through the aisles of Target looking for toilet paper to clean that dumpy of an ass. And at that point, I could actually stare. I don't have to take casual glances. Now, here's the only downside to the Gypsy Peek methodology. If you do it too much, it's a powerful technique and should be used no more than once during any particular given test. This next technique is not one that is an actual physical technique. It's not an actual individual move. It's a mindset, and that is to establish patterns. You can't cheat on your first test. You can't cheat on your second test. Maybe you could get away with cheating on your third test. Why? Because you've established patterns in your first and second test. The teacher is always observing. Teachers are retarded, but they have eyeballs and they could see you. So in your first and second test, you want to establish the pattern that's going to make sure that they don't care about your actions in the third and fourth test. Let's say you want to palm a card and implement the use of the thumb hook hanging off the side of the table. Well, do that normally. Do that while not holding anything. Do that, and that's going to establish the pattern to the teacher so that when you do it and you're actually cheating, they're not going to be the wiser. You want to use the Gypsy Peek? Well, do the Gypsy Peek while staring at absolutely nothing. Practice the method. However, don't look at anything because you don't need to in the first and second test. You're establishing patterns that the teacher isn't going to worry about come the third, the fourth, the fifth, or ongoing tests. So while the techniques might be strong, this one might be the strongest because it's a mindset. It's a way of thinking. You want to make sure that your actions don't look out of place. My friends, the boys, this is going to take the skills and the precision of a surgeon and the mentality of a psychopath, but it's well within your capacity. However, if you're an absolute noob at magic, you might want to check out the Pigcake Magic Academy. $5 a month gets you 2 videos each and every single week going over card stuff, coin stuff. You also get access to the piggybacker tier of videos, which is 2 additional tutorials that I don't post anywhere else. So that way you get 4 videos every single week, over 800 videos already that you have access to the moment you sign up. Oh boy, what a wondrous world we live in. Now, boys, you might think that we go under some sort of extensive mentorship and training programs to make sure that we know what to do when we're catching cheaters. The fact of the matter is that we don't even go through any training whatsoever. Most of the time, the administration just sets us out and they say, hey, do what you can. Don't worry, we got your back. That's a lie. They don't give a rat's ass about the teacher, and that sentiment is passed on from the teacher to the student. So while you might have a teacher that has the appearance of a Coach Carter or any other inspirational teacher, well, guess what? That's a farce. They only see you as a vehicle to live vicariously through because they're already old. But there's gonna be a time when teachers are gonna walk up and down the aisles looking for stuff, looking at you. They only do this to establish patterns. They do this to see what it is that you do. Now, while they might not be doing this consciously, they're doing this subconsciously, which is why in the previous section, I was talking about the idea of establishing patterns. It's imperative that when the teacher is walking around and doing the rounds, that you do not change your fucking attitude. This is the #1 way of being caught. Fidgety, quick motions, they smell that. They latch onto that like a rat on a piece of cheese, like a woman on a complaint, like a man to glory. They crave that. They want to look for it. When a teacher catches you cheating, oh boy. And because of that, once again, I implore you, do not change, do not move, do not fidget. You could be palming a card while holding a pencil and a teacher could be mere inches away from you and they still won't detect it. Why? Because you haven't changed your attitude. You are an ice god. This isn't gonna be an easy task because your immediate reaction is going to be to ditch whatever object you have that you're cheating with. Your immediate reaction is gonna be to fidget, to move around, and it's important that you don't do any of those. However, there may come an unfortunate time when you may have to ditch the object that you are currently palming or holding in your hand. This is what Papa Roach might call your last resort. Ditching an object is an art form in itself. However, you must still remain calm. This is a very common and easy technique known as the book bag ditch. Let's say you have a card in your palm and you need to ditch it because the teacher has put the heat on. Now again, you're not doing this in any sort of rushed fashion. You're not doing this in any sort of crazed condition. You're trying to be as psychotic as possible. You're trying to maintain a poker face. Oh man, it seems like my pen is running out of ink. Oh boy, I didn't want this to happen. I guess the only thing I have to do now is look for a new pen. Hopefully this one works. Let's test it out. Yes, it works perfectly fine. I no longer am palming anything because I've implemented the use of the dry pen tactic. This one's an easy one. Whatever card, whatever thing you have palmed, whatever thing you're hiding, you're going to pretend like you're running out of ink. You're going to pretend like you don't have sufficient ink. And you could do this by just shaking the pen, pretending to write. And of course, this subtly injects the idea to anybody looking that you, well, need another pen. So where are you going to find another pen? Your book bag, of course. You're going to cap the pen. You're going to reach into your bag. You're going to ditch the palmed object and you're going to pull out the same pen. You're going to look at the nib. You're going to put the cap down and then you're going to continue writing. This is a powerful technique and should be used only once in any given test. Oh boy, it seems like the teacher has put the heat on. What are you going to do to ditch your palmed object? It seems like she's heading directly for you. Well, this is very simple. All you're going to do is put the pen down, reach into your back pocket, and you're going to use the chapstick gambit. You should always carry chapstick on you. Why? Because it's something that's needed by every individual because of your cracked, nasty lips. But what does this simple object allow you to do? But ditch the palmed card in your pocket. All I've simply done is taken the palmed object just like this, reach casually to my back pocket, leave the card in my back pocket as I take out the chapstick. Now, depending on your thickness, this may be harder to do, but if you're someone that's skin and bones, well, you're gonna have the easiest time with this particular technique. Take the cap off the chapstick, rub it on your lips, put it back in your pocket, and you have ditched the object. Now continue to your test as if nothing has happened. Now there is one last Hail Mary and one last resort that I do not recommend. However, if push comes to shove and you are caught with a cheat sheet, well, a teacher or an administrator is not allowed inside of your pants. So at this point, you have to do what I call the crotch ditch. Now this is an open ditch and it will require you to sit in the principal's office with a card in your ball sack. However, they can't touch you. They can't ask you to reach into your ball sack and you are not legally obligated to reach in there and pull out anything. So the only thing they could do is accuse you of cheating without any evidence of which you could fight back. So if the teacher happens to catch you with a cheat sheet, all you gotta do is just scratch your balls. Reach into your pants, pretend to scratch your balls. I left a cheat sheet in there and I'm good to go. Now again, this might result in you having a trip to the principal's office, but they cannot legally frisk you. They're not police, they're not your parents, fuck, they're not even people. So if you have to resort to this ditch, just know that you might actually fail your test because that is at the discretion of the teacher. And unfortunately, because they have control issues, they might implement that and make sure that they get the last laugh. But you got the last laugh because you got away with cheating. Boys, cheating is as much of an art form as is magic, as is anything else in life. So make sure to use these techniques and practice them way in advance. You don't want to use these techniques first and freshly during any given test. You want to make sure that you are practiced. You never want to do any of these techniques without practice. So you want to make sure that you have a lot of practice when it comes to the actual use of these individual techniques. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope you guys do everything that people do when it comes to videos like this. And I hope to see you on the next one. Me personally, I'm going to be using roadkill for my lunch.